All right, everybody, this is Math 2, Lesson 932, comparing the growth of a function. So we'll be doing this front page of the notes, and then we will jump to a Desmos activity for the rest of the lesson. So we have these 6 functions, a of x, b of x, c of x, d of x, and so on. I put these little colored dots next to the math I'm going to did with them anyway already. So that's just the color. So when we do, the first thing it says to calculate the values at 1. And so here at the bottom of the screen, you can see that I've already done that for each of the numbers. And I came up with these answers. So it wants me to go from largest to smallest because we're trying to see who's going to win the race to get to infinity first. So right now we have in the lead d of x. So d is in the lead, followed by e. Then comes a next. Then C, then B, and bringing up the rear is F at negative 9,999. So continuing, and so now we're going to do the same thing for 10. And again, I've already calculated those numbers for us. So here they are for 10. And again, we're going to put our numbers in order again. So E is in the lead, so E is taken over from D. So E is in the lead now. D is second, then A. So E, D, then A. Next is B. And not last anymore is F. And C is last. Okay. All right. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at our last set of numbers. So I've done all of them. They're all here. But except for F, because F was weird, and I want to show you what happened. So F was the smallest. It had gained 1 place, but notice that it grew a lot, over 1,000 in this time, and nothing else grew that much. This one had the next highest growth because it grew 900, but this grew over 1,000. Okay, so I just want you to keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 raised to the 100, and I'm going to subtract 1,000 because that's F. And I got this number, okay, E. So E to the 30th means scientific notation. So we're timesing by 10 to the 30th power, which means my decimal is supposed to move 30 places this way, which according to someone who told me today, that's a quintillion. This is a huge number. It's really, 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 really big. And so I'm going to go ahead and write it down, 1.268. Get this lovely color. 1.268 times 10 to the 30th power, which is over a billion, over a trillion, over 100 trillion, or a trillion. This is huge. A billion has 9 zeros. This has 30 zeros. This is a huge, huge, huge number. Underneath, I'm just going to write 2 to the 100 minus 1,000, so I remember what that was. It's really, really big. So as I put them in order, F is actually the largest now. C is next. Then looks like E. Oh, yep. Yep, E. Then B. Then A. Then D. Okay. So let's take a look back at our original equations. So A is a linear equation, and so is D. D is losing our race, and A is second to last. I don't know why I wrote and D next to that. That's also linear. That's what I was trying to say. They're both lines. This one has a slope of 10. That has a slope of 100, which is huge. That's a big slope. But D ends up with the smallest growth in the end at 100. And if I look at B. B is a quadratic equation, and so is E. And notice that they are next. And B, with its coefficient 1.05, is basically x squared. And then E is here. B and E. Looks like probably on the next number, E will take over. Or B will take over from E. If we went to 1,000, B would be bigger than E, because 1.05 is a little more than 1. And this 1,000 place start this guy had will basically be gone then. Okay, so that's what's going on there. But they're both quadratic. And then my last two equations, which started out slow. I mean, seriously, C was in the middle of the pack. C was in the middle of the pack. And then it ended up second. And F was last. And then first and second. These are both exponential. And when we go out far enough, the exponents are going to win. So let's see, how can you determine the winner of the race to infinity? So F is so far ahead, no one will ever catch up again. C has the greatest chance of getting there pretty quickly. 1.1 is fairly small compared to 2, but it's going to get there. The final order, F will win, C will be in second. And there's no infinity, but as far as getting there quickly, F is going to get there fastest. It is going to be larger whenever we examine, as we get bigger and bigger numbers we plug in. And then my quadratic equations will be next. B will end up taking over, so B is going to take over because it's really close to taking over. See how it didn't grow very much here where E grew? And then now they're only 500 apart. E is going to take over. Then E. So we've got exponential first, quad next, lines last. A is going to be next. Then D, because D is only growing by 10 every time. A is growing by 100 every time. So our lines go last. Lines, quadratic exponents. Okay. What value of x will the finish line no longer change? I don't think we need to go very much farther. I'm thinking, because the only two that switched places were these two, I'm thinking maybe even just, let me use my calculator really fast, because I really only need to worry about these two numbers. So 1.05 x squared, let's try 110. And then 110 squared plus 1. No, not quite. Let's try 120. Close. 125. So we're zeroing in on it. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to go with 130. Places. There you go. Okay. So that's that. Let's take a look at a Desmos activity now. So going to a Desmos activity, taking a look at the student screen. So we have our line. Let me click home. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be comparing these three functions, which my E is really in the way of. It's the smallest one too, so sorry about that. So we have these, right? And so we've got 2x, that's a line, then a parabola, and then an exponential curve. And as you can see in this picture, the parabola is winning. So then we've got our line here. State where this function is increasing or decreasing. This function is always increasing. So I put this function is increasing everywhere. Describe its pattern of growth. It's growing like a line. Slope is 2. So that's the idea. You're going to answer those 2 questions for each of them separately. So then we have the quadratic. Answer those 2 questions. Then the exponential equation. Answer those 2 questions. Where is it increasing, decreasing? Describe the pattern of growth. Then we get into something a little strange, which is called average rate of change. And so the average rate of change, which is also known as slope. And so what is the slope from 1 to 2? For the line, that should be no big deal. What is the slope of the parabola from 1 to 2 and from 2 to 3? If you need to get points, go back and steal them from the table over here. So you can steal your points from 2 to 3 if you need to. It's an easier way to do it. So average rate of change. And then we have the average rate of change exponential, same idea. And last, who's going to win the race overall? And how do you know? I would suggest you go beyond the points in the table to make this decision. And that's what we're going to be doing in section 321. So I hope you enjoy that and have a great day.